Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is Monday, so we're back on our book study with Amy and Paigey and Carly, and Nana might be joining us at the Zoom afterwards. She had some physical therapy for her niece. We're going to see how she's feeling, but we are going to jump in and do myths around boundaries, and we'll do a quick chat over here, and then we're going to jump over to the live Zoom that you can join us and ask questions and share your experience with participating in the book study with us. The link is all in the description of how to get there, so we'll have plenty of time to look into that afterwards. So I'll be right back with the ladies. Oh gosh,
I have way too many boundaries these days. I can't even go to the bathroom without hitting a boundary. What the hell's going on?
scared the crud out of me. Oh my goodness.
Hi, ladies.
Hi,
This is Amy's idea. I'm out the door and she says, wait, come in.
So Big Swear, this is my daughter Carly.
I'm going way back.
Yeah, you know each other. Never mind.
Way back. Hello,
So-
Paige.
Hello again.
Paigey, there's your dad.
Hi.
Yeah.
All right. I have to go get a wood chipper.
Hey, thanks for my flowers this weekend. You guys.
Hey, thank you for getting so old. That was awesome. Nice job. Happy birthday. All right, I'm leaving you, ladies.
All right.
I'll listen in the car though.
Amy, okay, so just so you guys know, when we do go on our trips and we get, by the grace of God and the blessings of the magical internet, we get to see Bix and Amy and the crew a couple times a year. And Amy she's probably like the fun mom, if I had to guess. Because she's always like doing something like that, playing a little trick, making sure everybody has a snack. Don't get me wrong. We're all very well taken care of. But it's also like, how can you have the most fun? You make a lot of healthy boundaries so that we all have fun and space for ourselves. I was thinking about like my first Thai massage at foot Thai.
Oh, the type, the foot massage. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, we're going to all take our clothes off in the same room. That's really weird. And then you're like, Lisa, no, it's not like that. Yeah. So you're just the fun mom for sure.
Thank
She was a practical joker my entire childhood. She was always scaring me around the corner. I don't know. Quick side story. If you've ever seen the movie Arachnophobia with like all the spiders, and so I'm watching this as like a 5-year-old, a young child, and my mom took the Halloween spiders, the plastic ones, and tied fishing wire to them. And had like 10 of them ready, and then at like the peak scene, he throws them all over the couch and starts moving them with the fishing wires. I mean,
There's so much thought put into
I'm
it.
traumatized.
Hilarious.
It's coming up now. All the parents have ideas to scare the crap out of their kids. So, in good fun,
Good memories.
How was your birthday weekend, Lisa?
Oh my gosh, we had a great time. We had Friday was just like really laid back, but we had so much fun on the show. And Amy stopped by, and so many of my friends joined us. And then Pimpy came on, and then it all just went south. Pimpy. Wonderful, but he's just a wild card for sure. But we're telling stories about traveling, which I'm hoping we're going to get to do again soon. Telling about like a lot of the meetups, and then I just put the link to join the stream. So we had like people that were in the chat be able to jump on the show, that like JB Rants jumped in, and Crypto Chris Card, some of our other friends that we've like talked with for a long time. So that was kind of cool to have them stop by the show. So people from all over the world are like popping in to say happy birthday. And it was cool. And then Saturday, Carly and her husband took my husband and I to dinner.
Not really. It was.
Yes.
We all went together.
We all went together. And we went to the place where Charlie proposed to me. So that was nice. We had a nice dinner and then met one of my girlfriends for a drink and just really had a really low key, really nice, really nice weekend. A lot of messages from people that I love and care about that said, hey, you're special to me. I'm thinking of you on this day. And really, that's all you really want. Just tell me you think you thought of me today, And if that's what birthdays are for, then I think everybody, I always said I was the favorite, and I will say this forever, whether it was true or not, of my grandmother on my mom's side. And I always think everyone should have that somebody that they're their favorite. That
they're the shit, yeah.
Yeah, that you are the one. You can do no wrong. You're the favorite. When they see you, they light up. That you have that special place in their heart. All of that, And very sweet. Then I go down a road of it. We had a funeral today of the first little girl that we placed, or we were part of. So when we had Mighty Mia and started getting involved in foster care and adoption, well, then they're like, hey, Lisa, can you come sit with this baby at the hospital that has, special needs and is tube fed and has all these medical issues and nobody knows how to take care of them? And I'm like, sure. So little Joy, her birthday was on October 9th and she turned 12, and then she passed away on Thursday and my birthday was Friday, and she loved Mia. And so I went and held Joy as a baby on October 9th, 2010. And I could have called her parents because they were friends of ours through church and whatever. And I'm like, hey, I know you guys have 5 biological kids of your own, but have you ever thought about fostering or adopting? And, there's a special needs baby. And I know it was a big ask. My big ask, Amy. I got that big ask. But when you're brought to make that big ask, those doors open and close naturally, I think. People will be brought in front of you that you're supposed to make that big ask to, or they just won't be there, or a resource will be there or not be there. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, I was up there holding that little baby, and instead of just thinking well, who else is going to do this? I just started talking to my friends, and I was like, there's this baby who needs a home, and I can't tell you what the future is, but she's miserable because she's in a lot of pain, and it's not the most fun thing ever. But she had 12 years and changed this whole family. They ended up adopting 5 children total that were siblings of Joy. And so their whole, and they're former military, they're both in the Navy. Come to find out that one of them had a medical degree or connection in the Navy, or was somehow a medical hospital, something in the Navy. And so it was such a God thing. And then, so I go to the funeral this morning, and I'm the last one at the line, because I'm the last one who can get myself together to go up and say, talk to the parents or whatever and stop crying. And because they had also, after Mia passed, she loved Mia, and that was her mermaid friend, and they were mermaids together. And so she borrowed some of Mia's stuff to do a photo shoot after Mia passed away, in Mia's honor one year. And anyway, we have this whole mermaid connection thing. So I walk up, and the mom's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. She's like, I brought this. She said, I bought it 2 years ago at the beach, and I bought it for you and Mia. And it says, mermaids ride out the storms, play in the waves, and live so deep that life takes their breath away. And I thought, man, that's how I want to live, and that's why I want to do these things like this boundary thing. And sweet little Joy, she had some medical, this was right after she had some surgery on her shunt on her brain And so they had to shave her head. So she wanted a purple wig because she loved purple like Mia. So she's a little cup of joy. And so I wrote her parents and I said, you know that she and Mia are up there swimming around, being little mermaids together, dancing in heaven. And I just told them like I would be there for, for them moving forward. And so I don't know. I just it was this whole bittersweet, but it really helped me refocus myself. Because like I told you guys, I think I told you that I did that session with my friend who's like an energy healer, and she was like, you're talking about money all the time, but that's distracting you and actually stressing you out because like I always say, God is my protector and my provider. But then as I've been educated about crypto and all that, and I still believe all that stuff, and I believe being educated about it is important, but also not leaning on that is important. And remember, like Bix was clearly designed to follow silver manipulation and spread the word to people. And that is his mission in life and his passion. He's really good at it. And because of that, it's inspired people to find their own point from that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's like, I think sometimes we can get distracted watching someone else get really passionate about something and we think that's our thing too. Like I love the cryptocurrency thing. But for me, it's about the freedom. And I don't know. I just feel this like, trust me, the money thing is really hard not to like keep your eyes on it because I know that's where the corruption is so much and that will be exposed. But my heart is like, my friend told me something this weekend. She said, something bad doesn't have to happen for your future or something good to happen to you. Like, I think so many of us are focused on the crash, and we see it and we know it's coming, but we don't have to wait on that to go live our lives.
No.
And to have fulfillment and to have provision and to have bounty and to be able to go dream and manifest our future. We don't have to wait on a crash. We don't have to wait on the evildoers to be taken down. That's all. It's happening. We're seeing it, in it live and in color. And I'm grateful to be here during that time to see it. But I'm also like, I don't want to be so distracted. I told Carly the other day, I was like, remember when we used to go play golf when you were little? And one of the things they taught us playing golf was like, don't look at the hazard. Because whatever you look at, that's where your ball goes.
Yep.
What you look at, what you give attention to, what you manifest is what you create. And so we're going into this like time of manifesting during this eclipse cycle from October 25th to November 8th or whatever. And I just really want everybody to be like really mindful about manifesting forward, like be excited about our future. The old is collapsing. I believe that we're seeing it all around us, but what do we get to do? That means we get to start something new. What are you going to start new? What is it going to be for you? Maybe I'm having a midlife crisis. I don't know, but
Mine's come too early, if that's the case.
Okay. Well, so that's what I really wanted to share, just kind of kicking off. That was my birthday weekend and my pivot or turning point or whatever. And I hope you guys can't hear this dinging going off. Can you hear the dinging going off? Oh, good. There's Telegram. I left Telegram open because so after this, we're going to quickly go over common boundary myths. And then we're going to go over to, you can go into the Telegram chat, which I put the link in the description for this video. And then from there, there'll be a live Zoom link and we'll all be on there for a little while. So I'm sorry, I totally took up a lot of time telling you guys about my.
It's okay. We're here.
It sounds like you had a great birthday weekend that was, reflective and is moving you forward into this next year of life. And It sounds like you're very charged up and ready to, continue creating the change and being the change. And like you said, this imminent collapse that's happening right now, it's going to happen no matter what. And I think we're all doing our best to be a part of that change and helping this old system collapse and bringing in a new system. But like you said, we still have a life to live. And in my opinion, it's going to happen no matter what. So you should get out there, live your life, and create those positive changes, just like you're doing with this book club and all of your live streams and your meetups and I think coming back to your purpose and your mission in life and having a mission statement is so important because I would even, Bix, yes, he's in the silver game, he's in the crypto game, but his mission is uncovering um, manipulation and catching the liars and people who are trying to cheat. And like that goes beyond just the silver manipulation and just the crypto manipulation. If you talk about his first job, he was the one who went to the president of the company and said, "Hey, all these people are stealing money from you. I don't know if you know this."
Wow, I didn't
He
know
was
that.
the one that uncovered it, and it was technically his boss that was doing it. And there was this huge, like he was like, I might get fired over this, but he ended up getting promoted. And so I think really pulling back those layers on yourself and really figuring out why am I here and what is my purpose on earth, and that might niche into silver and crypto, but
Yeah.
really
Well,
getting
and
why we're
life
here.
is so much easier when we're doing what we're designed to do. Like I think about when in the Bible it says like in heaven we'll be worshiping God 24/7. To me, that's doing what you were designed to do. I don't think everybody's going to be singing because I've heard some people sing and they should not be singing 24/7. But I do believe like I know that feeling like Carly, remember when you were little and I would drag, I'm not a morning person. Carly can attest to this.
He is
But
not.
when we had a mission, a micro mission, an inner city mission thing, I was up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And
It's like she was on crack. Like
I was like,
go,
my
go, go.
heart was filled. We're serving people. We got more people at the church. Then we all load up, and I've got like a truck with a trailer, and I'm all ready. And we drive down into the hood, and we're like knocking on doors, making friends with the neighbors, and talking to people, and getting people involved, and getting people connected. And like afterwards, we work till. So in Oklahoma, that on Sundays the tornado sirens go off just as a test. So that's the lunch bell in Oklahoma on Saturdays. And so then everybody would have lunch and then we'd have this big picnic and everybody was, and I should be exhausted by the time you like do all that, feed everybody, get cleaned up, come back home. I don't know. It had been a good 12 hours of like solid work. And then I was just like on fire. I had more to give. I couldn't stop talking. I was wanting to like, send more emails. Oh, I got to connect this person and that person. Oh, I got to do that. There was more work to do because that fed my soul. And that's where like this whole reflective weekend and joy reminding me, the things that I want to do and why, like the whole reason I started the New Normal channel was because I wanted to talk to people about these seasons in life. And I was telling her mom, I was like, okay, I said, as you go through this, because Joy had a lot of medical and physical challenges, different challenges. And I was like, one of the hardest things is that you like, and she was a caregiver for her. She's like, I said, you're going to feel like you lost your arm, but nobody can see you lost your arm when they look at you. And so it's hard because you want to walk around screaming to everybody, I lost my arm, And she goes, oh, she's like, I've already started having that. She goes, like, I keep looking at my phone, my watch, and my alarms aren't set for her medication. And she's like, I'm like, oh, how do I plan my day? Because we always had to be somewhere that we could feed her, she had tube feedings and machines and whatever. So she's like, we had to like, schedule things around medication, feedings, doctor's appointments, whatever. And she's like, we're already just a couple days out. Like, oh, we have different freedoms or things that are there that didn't even just a couple days ago. And I said, just remember like the person that you were the day she left no longer exists. That person passed away too. And so part of this is you're having a new identity. And I think, we've all had loss. And that new identity is kind of bumpy for a little while and maybe for a long time, kind of finding those new patterns or waves or whatever. But that was the thing to me, is like, I don't want to get stuck in it. I also want to be mindful of that, of like, I can also change that pattern or wave. And I guess that's when we're going through the common boundary myths, I guess I'm working backwards a little bit, but like that very last one where it said, like, once you put a boundary somewhere, it doesn't mean that you can't remove it or change it or revisit it. And like, even God did that. And I was like, what? Because people think, oh no, God said it. Well, God also said, I changed my mind, apparently in the Bible, for the whole Nehemiah thing. And I don't know, that was pretty powerful to me, is that you can, I think, because that is where we do get stuck in these cycles of habit, repetitiveness. The world is happening to me, instead of us saying like, no, wait, I can make, and I can't remember, I feel like I said it last week one day, like, if you were delivered into your body, it was from the alien question from last week. I thought that was so, and I think maybe that's what triggered all this for me, was like, and my birthday and just all these things, I guess, but was that, every day you wake up, be mindful of where you are, what boundaries you have in your life, and then, do I want to change those boundaries? Like, I think that's fair too.
Yeah. I think it can be seen as a good thing when you can change your boundary, because you can finally stop, like the hazard, stop obsessing about how you're such a people pleaser or something. Like freedom.
That's a great point. It shows you're flexible. So somebody could see you as being flexible and think maybe you're more approachable, or they could come to you with something, because it's not just, oh, no, they're this way and they have their boundaries and it's always going to be. So if they knew, well, they have boundaries, but they're healthy boundaries, or they're
Not
willing
even
to
for the other
change.
person, like for yourself. Like for me to finally be like not focused on, like I do, like you said it, but it's something that I do, and I'll share it, I don't mind, but I like really want people to feel loved and good about themselves, because I want to feel loved and I want to feel good about myself. So if I, put it into the universe, I'm gonna get it back. I sow what I reap, or I reap what I sow. And, it's like good. And I lost my train of thought, but what I'm trying to say is can be a good thing for you to finally stop trying to, be that person for everyone. And I don't need to be that person. They can either get that just because they're nice or not.
Yeah. And you don't have to always be the place that they get that from.
Right.
You don't owe that to them, because you have been in the past, maybe.
Yeah. But then it gets to a point where some people use it because they love that, being talked to like that.
Well, it feels good to be loved, yeah, for sure. Let's see. The questions on the review were pretty much like, did any of these myths stick out to you guys? There were 8 myths.
Do you want to read them? Or a few of them? Or you don't have to.
I've been talking the whole time, so somebody else can.
I don't have to. Because I would read some.
Go ahead, baby. Did you have something to say?
No, I was asking Carly what she had just said.
Oh, I was saying, do you want to read them, since I don't have them in front of me, and then we can just like talk about them?
Yeah, I can read them.
Okay.
Myth 1 is, if I set boundaries, I'm being selfish. And myth 2 is, boundaries are a sign of disobedience. Myth 3, if I begin setting boundaries, I will be hurt by others. Myth 4, if I set boundaries, I will hurt others. Myth 5, boundaries mean that I am angry. Myth 6, When others set boundaries, it injures me. Myth 7, boundaries cause feelings of guilt. Myth 8, boundaries are permanent and I'm afraid of burning my bridges. So
I like hit on a few things in my book. I don't know if you guys want to share anything. Otherwise, I'll jump in and share my soul.
Go for it.
yeah, jump in.
I liked the part where on met our boundaries a sign of disobedience. They put they were like, here's a good way to look at this myth that boundaries are a sign of disobedience. If you cannot say no, then you cannot also say yes to something. So why is this? It has to do with our motivation to obey, love, be responsible. We must always say yes with a heart of love when our motive is fear, we love not. So I thought that was really powerful in like, because they were giving an example of somebody who was like, the guy rushed up to him and was like kind of guilt tripped him into saying yes to something. And he was like, all right. Well, if you're in a position where you really can't say no, then you really aren't able to say yes either. And so sometimes it's a good idea just to say, to put a placeholder in there and say, you know, at this time, I don't have all the information. I need some more time to discuss, or I'll get back to you on that. And I think that's that's a good tool, and that's a safe way to help in those situations where if you're not in a situation where you are not able to say no, you also cannot say yes.
Very good point.
And if you say yes to too many things, you know, you can't say yes to the things that you should actually be focusing on. And like, if you have goals in life and you're constantly saying yes, yes, yes to everything, you're really not headed at full speed to your own goals and the destinations that you need to be hitting. And I think that's a boundary that people really need to have.
Yeah, I agree. On the next one, I jumped to myth 3. If I begin setting boundaries, I will be hurt by others. It says it's possible that others will become angry at our boundaries and indeed will withdraw from us. Absolutely. God never gave us the power or the right to control how others respond to us. Some will cope. Some will welcome it and some will hate it. And that, I think I've shared the story where, like, when Charlie and I got married, he was on his oldest daughter's bank account. And I was like, oh, no. No. We don't share finances with adult children. This is not happening. And I thought, man, she's going to hate my guts. Like, here I come in, I marry her dad. It's my fault. So we're all at the bank. Of course, I'm sitting in the middle. There's her dad and her, and signing papers and whatever. And when you meet her, she's very
Scary.
reserved. Yes, she's a little scary if you don't know.
No, she's the sweetest human on earth.
She has the biggest heart.
The first time my husband met her, he was scared of her.
Yeah, she's got a big protection up, because of that sweetheart. But I was just like, oh God, she's gonna hate me. Like, but I had to do that thing because those were our boundaries, and my husband honored me in that and respected that was our decision, as us moving together as a couple, that we don't have adult children that we share bank accounts with. And later, she and I have gotten to be really good friends. And she's like, no, Lisa, she's like, I loved it. She goes, because I knew exactly where I stand with you. And she goes, there's no strings attached. And you just love me because you love me. And she goes, and I know I can come here and get a hug if I had a bad day or a good day. And there's no judgment on it. And you're just here to be here for me. And you're not dangling anything over my head, or if I don't behave, you're going to withhold your love from me, or any of that. She goes, so actually, like, that removed something that, was actually probably an impediment for her, you know, before that. As she got to be older, it probably should have been removed before, but that's between her and her dad. I'll just leave that.
I have a very similar story to that where my boundaries where I was afraid to set them up and I finally did turned out way better than what I originally planned. And I had a friend who is not it's not as good an example as yours, but I had a friend who was one of those girls that liked to be like constantly FaceTiming and texting and sending each other things on the internet. And I really like I'm a very personal person, but like only to your face. Like I like that one-on-one like quality person time, and over the phone I'm really not a big fan of it. And I one day like had to sit her down and ask and tell her that like I'm not gonna be that friend. Like I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna be that friend for you that's like calls you like twice a day and like all that. And I thought it was gonna be like scary. I thought she was gonna like not take it well, and she was like, oh my god, I felt like I have to, because if I don't, all my friends just leave. And I was like, not me. We're still friends now. We've been friends for like now. But yeah.
It's beautiful what happens when both parties show up as their full authentic selves.
Right.
And if you are not showing up as your full authentic self, people don't really have a good judge, or like they have nothing to really base who you are on. And I always give the example of when you're first dating someone, and I've had friends do this as well. And it's like, well, I can't show him my crazy yet. I'm like, well, it's going to come out sometime. So you might as well lead with that and then see if they stay. And if like, think about it, if we all actually showed up as our full authentic selves in the dating scene, or, you know, job interviews, or whatever it may be, you actually give people, that's a litmus test of, are we actually going to jive? Are we actually going to work well? And the more you can do that, you know, the more authentically other people can also show up as well, just like your friend Carly. Like, oh, I don't have to do this. Awesome. Yeah. You give people permission to be themselves. You listen them into existence and yourself, and it's so important in the world of boundary setting.
It is.
Excellent points.
I think that leans into another part that I highlighted. It was talking about having boundaries first, or bonding first and boundaries second, which I think we talked about earlier, about when it was saying like when you look for asking for feedback from people, make sure it comes, check their intention, make sure you know who you're asking for feedback from. But it talked about like this lady, I guess she read this book and then she went out in the world and started just throwing boundaries up at everyone, and a bunch of people were pissed at her and left. And so then it was like, no, start your boundaries and work on your boundaries in a place of love. It said it's only from that place of being rooted and grounded in love that you can safely begin learning to tell the truth. And this is the first time in here where I've heard them, instead of just say having boundaries, they're talking about speaking the truth. And that being the boundary. And Carly, that's kind of that's exactly what you just brought up in that story, is like the boundary was telling the truth.
Yeah.
About your heart, the situation.
Both of us.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah, it's not like, stop calling me.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, that's how
when you can first start in this work with people, you literally become a dumpster fire. It's like, stop doing that, you know, stop talking to me, stop texting me so much. And it can be really aggressive, or seem really aggressive, or like you have just pivoted 180. But if you start with, like you did, how it's just, you know, I'm not going to respond, you know, and you're taking personal responsibility for yourself. And then that actually gives, you know, a loving segue into creating what that boundary looks like for both parties. And like both parties get to decide on that boundary, instead of one person being extremely rigid, and no one wants to be friends with like a super rigid person.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the last things that I really liked before we jump over is, if I set boundaries, I will hurt others. Because I think we all have that people pleaser. We all, you know, want to love others in our life. We want people to be in our life. We want to have healthy boundaries. But this talked about, it said inappropriate boundaries do not control, attack, or hurt anyone. They simply prevent your treasures from being taken at the wrong time. Saying no to adults who are responsible for getting their own needs met may cause some discomfort. They may have to look somewhere else, but it does not cause injury. And I think that point where it's your boundary is not causing injury, it may cause some discomfort for someone, but the injury is being caused by their situation, which is their action or that something that precedes your boundary.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was something to be mindful of when you are setting your boundaries and bumping into somebody who's not jiving with it, and they see it as you're hurting me. Why wouldn't you pay my bills this month?
Mhm.
You know, why wouldn't you help me bail me out of jail? Why wouldn't you, you know, come clean all my house for me or do whatever, whatever the things are. But it's because they need to be finding that provision or setting their own boundaries in their life, and they put themselves in that position first.
Yeah, not responsible really for the other person's feelings, but you don't have to use your boundaries as a defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, my boundary is that you never talk to girls.
Boy.
It's like, okay, it's not really a boundary, you're just controlling.
Yeah. They said, the very last one, I guess. Oh, I thought I got to the last one. Boundaries mean that I'm angry. I thought this one was good too. It said, like fear, anger signals danger. Anger tells anyone that our boundaries have been violated. So that's another thing, is to kind of listen to yourself. Because like I know I get home or I'll get off of even reading an email sometimes, and I'm like, ah! And my husband's like, why are you so angry? Or what are you upset about? And it's because I feel afraid, threatened, whatever. And he's like, no, here's your boundary.
Mhm.
Or that's why we have this in place. That's why you have, this person to call to handle that. This is why, you have no but to, I guess, be aware, listen to your feelings. If you're starting to feel angry about something, maybe stop and think, am I having a boundary that's being violated?
Mhm.
And then address it that way with like, this violates this boundary in this situation with this person, and then be able to have it in a loving conversation the way Carly did would be ideal. For sure.
I feel like I got lucky though on that one.
And usually that anger is rooted in a more fear-based emotional response, where you bump up against a fear, and then to deal with that fear, you'll go into usually anxiety, where it's like, okay, I need to do this way. I need to, your brain will serve you all these things that you need to do. And then when that feels overwhelming, then you jump to anger. And so really focus, like getting clear on like what scares you, what those fears are, and having the correct things in place to support you when you are in those positions, so that you don't have to go into a typical, default anger response, is just really important. And I think is another important thing to do when learning to set boundaries and understanding your emotional responses to things. And I always have anger when doing the support emails for Rotaruta. I mean, the things that people write in and say, I'm just like, you realize there's another human on the other end of
there's a
Oh,
human reading this. Yeah.
and like having to absorb that anger, and just these like nasty things that people will say. It's definitely triggering for me, and something that I've really had to like put boundaries up and around, and which can be tricky.
Yeah, I think that you bring up a great point where you're saying anger was based out of fear. There's another part that they said boundaries cause feelings of guilt, and I think that's a huge one for a lot of us. And there was a great quote. What they talked about, there were a couple things that I highlighted in this, but I won't do all of it. But they were talking about the problem is non-existent debt. The love we receive, or money or time, or anything else that causes us to feel obligated, should be accepted as a gift. So if the giver is hurt or angered by a sincere thanks, the gift was probably a loan. And I thought that was pretty good. I was like, oh, because sometimes people don't really give you something.
Yeah.
It's really a loan that they have an expectation of then your behavior in return.
Right.
And so if it is a gift, then it's
No
given
strings
with no strings attached.
Mhm.
So, and then I already jumped on the permanent boundaries. You ladies have a couple minutes. Maybe we can do at least 30 minutes or so over on 30 to 45 minutes over on Zoom. All right. Well, we'll see you over in the live Zoom. I hope you guys will all join us that are in the chat. Go to the description of this video and click on the link. That'll take you to the Telegram group where you can join the Telegram group. And in there, you just click the link to join Zoom, and I'll go start it right now. See you guys all there.